Welcome back to our Explainer series, everyone. Today, we are diving right into the deeply emotional climax of the legendary Laila Majnun saga. In our previous sessions, we explored the beautiful beginnings of their connection and that absolutely devastating moment their families tore them apart. Well, today, we're looking at the direct fallout. We're going to explore how intense societal pressure, some heartbreaking decisions, and an agonizingly long wait literally forged their story into a legend. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start right at the breaking point. Imagine the scene. After that tense, unresolved meeting between their families, the friction just skyrocketed. And when Lila was suddenly told she was being married off to someone else, the ground literally slipped from beneath her feet. She begged her parents, pleading, "I cannot marry anyone else. My heart already belongs to Qais." But as we'll see, this perfectly illustrates the crushing weight of family honor completely obliterating her own personal desires. Section 1. Honor and Helplessness. A Tribe's Reputation. So, to really understand why her cries just fell on deaf ears, we have to look at the stakes for Layla's tribe. They were incredibly high. Her father was absolutely consumed by the fear that if his daughter's name kept being linked with Majnun, the entire tribe's reputation would be dragged through the mud. It was a massive societal liability for them. To fix this, they arranged her marriage to a wealthy, highly respected man. And the crucial thing to remember here is that in the societal norms of ancient Arabia, a daughter's desires were vastly overshadowed by family honor. This wasn't just strict parenting. This was a strategic move to secure the tribe's social standing, leaving Layla completely helpless. Section 2. The Wedding of Tears. A Joyless Celebration. Within just a few days, wedding preparations completely swept through the tribe. And this brilliantly illustrates the jarring contrast of that fateful day. On the outside, the atmosphere was exactly what you'd expect from a wealthy wedding. We're talking bright lights, endless guests, and just this overwhelming joy spreading everywhere. But then, you compare that to Lila's reality. The source texts paint a devastating picture here. She's wearing the bridal dress, sure, but there is zero happiness in her eyes. Just tears. Her lips are totally silent, but her heart is stubbornly repeating one single name, Qais. Sheila's quite literally the most sorrowful person in a sea of celebration. Section 3. The Hermit of the Desert. Majnun's Descent. Now, while Lila was trapped in that celebration, our story shifts far away, deep into the desert. A traveler passing through those harsh sands finally delivers the devastating news of the marriage to Majnun, and upon hearing it, Majnun just falls completely silent. He looks up at the sky and softly whispers, "If Lila is happy, then I am also happy." What's really interesting here is how his tearful reaction reveals the pure, selfless nature of his devotion. He didn't lash out in anger or seek vengeance. His only concern was her happiness, even as the news completely broke him. This specific moment is what triggered his complete descent. Qais systematically withdrew from human society to fully become the hermit known as Majnun. First off, he severed basically every worldly relationship he had. Second, he abandoned civilization entirely, retreating deep into the wild forests and arid deserts. Third, while people would occasionally leave food out for him just out of pity, he barely touched it. And finally, he just stopped speaking normally altogether. His entire identity, his only way of communicating, became his painful, sorrowful poetry. Section 4. Love of the Soul. Spiritual Connection. Their love was connected by the soul, not the body. It's fascinating because this intense physical separation didn't weaken their bond at all. It actually forged an unbreakable spiritual connection. The texts tell us that even though Layla was married, she never gave her heart to her husband. Actually, every single night, she would look up at the sky in total silence and pray for Majnun's safety. Meanwhile, miles away in the desert, Majnun would begin every single sunrise by reciting her name in his poetry. People who saw this began to realize that their bond had completely transcended physical presence. It was purely spiritual. But, as we all know, spirituality doesn't stop the harsh reality of time, and the passage of time here was agonizing. Year 1 passes, the long wait begins. By year 2, Majnun's physical deterioration is severe. His clothes are entirely torn, his hair is wildly scattered. And by year 3, his face is deeply scorched by the relentless desert sun. He was deteriorating rapidly. But, and this is the key takeaway you really have to grasp, despite this horrific physical toll, a spark of hope remained in his eyes. He held on to this fragile thought that, just maybe, he might see Laila one more time.
Section 5. The Last Message. A Secret Sent.
After years of this torturous silence, the tension finally breaks when Laila finds a way to reach out. Using a deeply trusted maid, she manages to smuggle a secret message out into the desert. Laila's profound and heartbreaking words sent a crystal-clear message. She wrote, "Even if we cannot be together in this world, my heart is still yours today. If destiny does not support us, then perhaps God will unite us in another world." Wow. This isn't just a letter, right? It's a vow of eternal devotion. It's an acknowledgement of their worldly defeat, but an absolute refusal to let go of that spiritual bond. When the maid finally found Majnu and handed him this message, his reaction was instantaneous and deeply moving. He read it, clutched it tightly to his chest, and made one singular vow. "Now I have only one reason to live, your memory." This physical piece of paper became his lifeline. Out there in the vast, empty harshness of the desert, Laila's memory was quite literally the only sustenance keeping his heart beating. Section 6. Symbol of Immortal Love, a Lasting Legacy. So how exactly did this private tragedy forge a legacy that we are still talking about centuries later? Well, initially, Majnu was just seen as an outcast, but over time, his deeply emotional poetry began to spread and echo across all of Arabia. People listened, and as they listened, public perception completely shifted. The very society that had rejected him now recognized him not as a madman, but as the ultimate symbol of true, unadulterated love. Why? Because in every single poem he composed, and in every prayer he whispered, there was only ever one name: Laila. But as we know, with grand, epic tragedies, a singular wish is rarely granted with a heavy price. Their story has evolved from a localized family dispute into Arabia's greatest legend of spiritual love. But their journey on this earth isn't quite over yet, which leaves us with a haunting thought to ponder. What final and most difficult test has destiny saved for them? The source material tells us that the time approaching would become the most painful chapter of their entire existence. Think about that for a second. I'll see you in the final part of our explainer.